Dude, how long have you been standing there?
An hour.
An hour?
I've mastered the ability of standing so incredibly still that I've become invisible to the eye. Watch.
Hey fellas, it is I, Filmento, back at it again with another online video. This time, if it's okay with you, I'd like to talk about the most ambitious crossover in entertainment history. Or no, the second most ambitious crossover in entertainment history. Close, but still not the one I mean. I mean the third most ambitious crossover in... Alright, I saw Avengers Infinity War for the second time last night, and honestly, it still is as much of a wild ride as it was in theaters when it first came out. In short, it's a hella lit film. Maybe not the very best of the entire MCU, but not far from it either. In fact, watching through Infinity War, my mind once again went back to the same age-old question as it did during my first viewing. Why couldn't DC's big live-action team-up movie be anything like this? If you didn't already know, I personally grew up with DC. As much as I enjoy these Marvel characters and their movies, to me they have never really been as meaningful as those on the DC side, at least not outside of Spider-Man. That said, seeing Justice League in theaters was one of the worst experiences of my life. I mean, right up there with tasting broccoli and going into an actual coma because my little brother decided to throw a freaking brick at my head. In other words, no, I don't think Justice League is a very good movie. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, not even the worst movie in the DCEU, but it is one of the most disappointing movies I've ever seen. And this, fellas, is the reason why we're here today. To figure out why one of these two superhero team-up movies is great and the other isn't. Why does Infinity War succeed where Justice League fails? What exactly did the Marvel filmmakers do differently? You know, aside from not using Microsoft Paint to remove Captain America's beard 5 minutes before the premiere. I've said this before and I'll say it again. DC has a villain problem. It might be hard to believe considering they have by far the best comic book villains ever created, but with the DCEU, unfortunately, it is true. A perfect example of this is Justice League's big bad guy, Steppenwolf, also known by his other name, Tall Talking Mass of Vanilla CGI number 26. To be fair, for a long time, villains also seemed to be a problem for Marvel. Not that there weren't any good ones, it's just that a lot of them just seemed to be very forgettable, to the point where you couldn't even tell them apart. Nowadays, however, it seems that they have managed to move past that problem, which is very much evident in Infinity War with Thanos. Not only is Thanos one of the best comic book villains in the MCU, he's also one of the best comic book villains, period. Truly a highly memorable, highly intimidating presence.
Under no circumstances can we bring the Time Stone to Thanos. I don't think you quite understand what's at stake here.
It's you who doesn't understand that Thanos has been inside my head for 6 years, since he sent an army to New York and now he's back. And I don't know what to do. Thanos has been inside my head for 6 years, 6 years, 6 years.
Looking at these two villains side by side, at first glance they do seem very much the same. They're both tall, planet-conquering CGI monstrosities. So why then does Thanos work when Steppenwolf doesn't? Because he possesses an actual personality. In Infinity War, we learn more about Thanos than any other character. We get to know who he is, where he comes from, as well as what he's trying to do and for what reason. I wouldn't necessarily agree with what he's doing, but I can understand why he's doing it. And this is the reason why he feels like a real-life person with real-life depth, as opposed to just being an empty CGI shell. With Steppenwolf in Justice League, there's pretty much nothing. He does want some boxes, but that's about it. We don't really know who he is or what he wants or why. Basically, all of our knowledge of him comes from boring generic exposition told by other characters. The only real lasting impression we get from Steppenwolf himself is that he so desperately wants to be with his, you know. Honestly, Steppenwolf could switch places with any other DCEU CGI villain and this movie would still play out the exact same way. He has less personality than Thanos' henchmen, and I'm pretty sure one of them doesn't even speak. Let's put it this way, if Steppenwolf was in Infinity War, he'd probably be assisting the assistant of one of these 4 henchmen, aka he'd be doing paperwork in an office somewhere, maybe walking their dog if he's doing well. And even then it wouldn't take long for him to get fired because he keeps bringing his mom to work with him.
Mother is calling.
Que coisa, mano!
One of my personal favorite films of all time is Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. I think there's a lot to love about the story of this movie, but to me there's one specific thing that makes it so fun and intriguing to follow. Every last one of its characters has their own clear goals and motivations. And when I say that, I don't mean just the main good guys, I mean everyone.
I'm hunting with wobbly-legged, rum-soaked pirates!
How'd this go, Screwy? Well, each wants the chest for himself, don't he? Mr. Norrington, I think, is trying to regain a bit of honour. Old Jack's looking to trade it, save his own skin. And Turner there, I think he's trying to settle some unresolved business twixt him and his twice-cursed pirate father. Sad.
The reason I enjoyed Infinity War so much, I think, is the exact same reason I enjoyed Dead Man's Chest. This movie boasts a massive roster of characters, but still somehow it manages to keep its story simple and easy to follow. How, you ask? Because in addition to the overall objective of stopping Thanos, the filmmakers also made sure to divide these characters into smaller groups and give all of them their own clear goals and motivations. Tony Stark's party travels to face Thanos head-on because of his troubled relationship with Captain America. Thor's party heads to forge him a weapon which he can then use to kill Thanos. Star-Lord's group joins forces with Stark's because he wants Gamora back. Captain America and most of the other Avengers fly to Wakanda because they want to destroy the Mind Stone before Thanos can get his hands on it. To put it short, everyone is headed to the same destination, they're just taking their own routes to get there. In Justice League, there really are no person-specific goals or motivations, at least not outside of Batman's conflicted relationship with Superman. Basically, the whole movie goes like this. Let's get a team together. Let's go stop Steppenwolf from getting the last box. Let's revive Superman with that box, because that's how stuff works. Let's go fight Steppenwolf again. In addition to objectives of the heroes, Infinity War also manages to make things very clear with its villain. Thanos wants all 6 Infinity Stones so that he can snap his fingers and make half of the universe feel not so good. That's pretty simple to understand. Steppenwolf, on the other hand, wants 3 boxes, because that's just who he is, apparently. And it doesn't help that it's never entirely clear what these boxes are exactly. Are they Darkseid? Are they his actual mother? I don't know, and I've seen the film. I mean, I do know that they paint the sky orange and make tentacles grow from the ground, but that's about it. All in all, Infinity War works better because it has something Justice League doesn't: clear character goals and motivations. I know that so far I've done nothing but trash on Justice League, so I do want to take this opportunity to say some good stuff about it too. When it comes to action, this movie does have a very cool moment where Batman is driving through the overtaken town in the Batmobile and the rest of the team joins in to help him. Very cool. The only problem is that this moment lasts for maybe 30 seconds, and this is a 7,200 second movie. So, To quote my previous video discussing this movie, there are 2 main action sequences in Justice League, and both of them take place in a deserted tube, a sewer and a power plant. Or in other words, generic dark DC CGI Space 1 and 2. Also, there's the park scuffle scene after Superman awakes. Apparently some people thought it was cool, which is fine, but to me the whole thing just seemed pretty dumb. I mean, you have all these superhuman fighters and their big battle is limited to standing around in this one tiny park? Wasn't long ago when Superman was fighting in freaking space. And just look at Flash, he gets this cool slow-mo run moment, but then you realize that he runs maybe 20 feet. Almost as if this whole scene was just a quick half-assed reshoot. That or maybe DC characters just got tired of moving around.
I bet your parents taught you that you mean something, that you're here for a reason. My parents taught me a different lesson.
Who are you?
You're not brave. Men are brave.
Right.
Tell me, do you bleed? Oh, son of a bitch.
If you've seen Infinity War, and you most likely have, I don't have to tell you just how spectacular the action in that movie is. It's visually incredible, always in motion, taking place in multiple different terrains, packed with emotion and comedy, and it also features Spider-Man, which never hurts. Whereas Justice League's action mostly consists of generic punching and kicking, here we have multiple aesthetically distinct fighting styles and abilities which, well, just here you go. If you follow the movie industry at all, you might have heard that Justice League had its fair share of so-called production hiccups. It was originally planned to be part 1 of 2 films, but we all know how that plan turned out. Originally we had Zack Snyder with his own vision, but then along came Joss Whedon with his stuff. And of course then there were Warner Brothers executives with their views. And because of this, there really isn't any consistency as to what this movie wants to be. Like I've said before, it's just a big mess, something Infinity War is not. For example, let's compare the themes of these two movies. In Avengers, the main theme revolves around the inevitability of failure and defeat. It's the very first thing Thanos talks about, and it's what the entire film builds itself upon.
I know what it's like to lose. Feel so desperately that you're right. Yet to fail, nonetheless.
In all the time I've served Thanos, I have never failed him.
To be fair to Justice League, it does feature a sort of overarching theme as well. The theme of having to unite and come together. If you're wondering why Steppenwolf kept rambling on about the boxes as the unity, that's why. Because the same way he has to unite the boxes to do who knows what with them, the Justice League has to unite in order to defeat him. It's a good idea, but unfortunately in the film it doesn't really work. Like, what's the point of a united supergroup if this one dude is stronger than everyone else put together and can just come in and deal with the bad guy by himself? Overall, while the idea of unity is okay, the whole thing just seemed like something that was quickly glued on at the last minute with the reshoots, so that the marketing team can then stick it on the posters. And this, coupled with what we talked about so far, is why I think Justice League failed and Infinity War succeeded. Because unlike Justice League, Infinity War always had one consistent vision.
He is in anguish.
Good.
He mourns.
What is this monster have to mourn?
He is in anguish. In anguish. In anguish.
Why?
This crazy car parked outside.
Oh, Mr. Parker.
Why What are you doing? Hey, I'm Peter.
Tony.
What? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't feel so good.
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
Here we are, fellas. There's another Avengers/Justice League video for you. Please tell me your thoughts on these two films and why do you think Avengers succeeded where Justice League failed? Or is it actually the other way around? Let me know. Thanks for watching.